Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Fortitude Fix. I hope you're well. My name is DaShanna, and in today's video, I am going to be talking about a recent diagnosis of sickle cell retinopathy. Let's go ahead and get into it. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I have sickle cell disease, type SC hemoglobin. By the way, I'm going to stop and say happy Sickle Cell Awareness Month. September is Sickle Cell Awareness Month, so I am making this video that goes in line with that. But also, this is something that I'm dealing with and I want to raise awareness. Let's start at the beginning. One night, not too long ago, I went to bed. I went to sleep. I was tired. I want to say around 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning. I didn't have my glasses, so I couldn't see what time it was. But anyway, I was woken up out of my sleep due to an extreme headache. Bad headache. And I'm no stranger to headaches. You know, I used to get migraines and whatever, but this was bad. I woke up and immediately took some Tylenol. Now, when I say that this headache was bad, it was like if I moved, if I opened my eyes, if I tried to turn my head, it made it worse. It made it 1,000 times worse. So me waking up in the middle of the night in the dark, trying to see, trying to turn over to find and open the Tylenol to grab my water, it was a lot. My head was hurting. Took the Tylenol, attempted to go back to sleep. Granted, the pain was still there. I'm no stranger to pain, but that was tough and I ended up falling back asleep. When I wake up in the morning, like more of the morning, I think it was like 6:30 or 7 when my daughter woke up. And so it was my husband's day to wake up with her. And so he got up and I was like, this headache is still here. This is terrible. I opened my eyes and like I couldn't see. I could see out of one eye. I could barely see out of the other eye. It was extremely scary because I had what are called floaters. I had floaters last year, I want to say. These floaters were different. So in my left eye, the floater was red and it wasn't moving. And the best way I can describe it is if you think about using a paintbrush and you dip it in the red and you smear, you know, on the paper or whatever, that's what it was like. And so when I covered my right eye, I couldn't see anything above like 1/3 of my eye, like 1/3 of my vision. I could see toward the bottom, but like everything up above that, halfway mark and up above, I couldn't see anything. And it was because of that like red brush stroke. My right eye also had floaters, and the floaters in my right eye were black and kind of like grayish. Eventually those floaters turned into more of like a deep sea moss green kind of color, and they were more so stringy. If you've ever had floaters before, I hope this makes sense to you. Even if you haven't, I hope it makes sense. These are things that are just in your eye, and they're not physical things that you can pick out. It's your vision. It's your blood cells within your eye. And I realized that my headache was slowly subsiding, but it wasn't really because of the Tylenol. Like the Tylenol hadn't helped. I just fell asleep because I was tired. And that was the only thing that was giving me reprieve, is to like be asleep and unconscious. I woke up and realized that my vision was what it was with the floaters. I was extremely concerned, and I immediately started to think about my last and my previous doctor's appointment with the eye doctor. So because I have sickle cell disease and because I have sickle cell genotype SC, I am apparently more at risk for sickle cell retinopathy. It had never been a thing, and everyone was like, we're going to check every, you know, ophthalmology every year, you know, to see, make sure there's no sickling in your eye. No one had ever mentioned sickle cell retinopathy to me that I remember. Maybe they mentioned it to my mom, but in my adult life, I don't remember hearing that word. I remember hearing like, we don't want sickling in your eye, and glaucoma as like a risk factor of being black and whatever. Okay. And I immediately thought like, this is not normal. Like that coupled with the headache really had me concerned. So long story short, I thought I would email my doctor. I decided against it. My doctor, shall I say, since I moved to this new area, is my primary care doctor. So I will say that my prenatal appointments with my OBGYN and my high risk OB, those were great. But when I was no longer pregnant, because I moved here when I was pregnant, so that's who I was seeing. But when I was no longer pregnant, I had to choose a primary care doctor. And so I did. And I am now rethinking that choice because of certain things that have happened leading up to this point and the way in which she responds to me. But I decided against it, and I decided to call the advice nurse instead. So I called the advice nurse and I let them know. And essentially they were really concerned if I was having like the curtain where like you couldn't see on either side, or if like your whole vision was like black, like if you couldn't see anything. They were really concerned about that. They asked if there was any trauma, and I said no. Literally this happened while I was sleeping. And you know, they checked in with the doctor on call. They came back and said, we want to refer you to ophthalmology for further testing and looking into it, especially with your history of sickle cell. And I was like, exactly, let's do this. She's like, here's the number. I'm going to transfer you over. And typically they can do like emergency same day or next day appointments. I give the number a call, speak to someone. This person may have been very new at the job or at the position, or they may not be a great fit for the position that they were in. However, I spoke with them. They were extremely short. They asked me, they're like, so where do you want to go? I was like, okay, well, I know that I just need to make an appointment with the ophthalmologist. So here are the places that are near me. Like, I don't know which location has an ophthalmology department. They just said call. So how about this hospital? And they were like, great. So they have an appointment in basically like 3 weeks out. And I was like, okay. Well, I was told that they have same day or next day appointments for emergency situations such as this. And she goes, well, we don't make those appointments here. You have to talk to such and such. And I was like, okay, great. Can you connect me to such and such? And they're like, so where do you want to go though for the appointment? And I'm just like, I want to go wherever I can get a sooner appointment. And so I think you might need to transfer me because you said you don't do that there. And she was like, okay. Yeah, all right. And then she like transfers me. No goodbye. No, thank you so much. No, is there anything else I can help you with? And I'm like, okay. So I get transferred and I get a voicemail from whoever this person is. And so I left a detailed voice message with my information and how to contact me and what's going on. They ended up giving me a call back and they said they had an appointment. Actually, no, they said they didn't have any appointments and that they would have to check in with the doctor. The doctor had just gone on lunch. They said, we're going to call you back when the doctor gets back because they're the ones who have to say when they're available so we can make the appointment. I was a little bit irked and perturbed at the lady who I spoke to who just seemed extremely incompetent, as well as just how I was feeling physically. I was in a lot of pain and it felt like no one was really like understanding or having a sense of urgency about it. And so I went downstairs to eat and I got a phone call, and it was another person who called back to set up the appointment, and they said that there was a cancellation and that she could get me in that same day. So I go in that same day. I tell my husband about it. I drive myself because he has to stay with the girls, and I felt safe enough to drive because I can see out of my right eye. And for whatever reason, seeing far away was a lot easier. So I was able to drive, drove myself, got to the appointment. Immediately when the doctor came in, they saw a pool of blood. So that's the red paintbrush stroke that I was telling you about. And they said, when you said red, I think blood. And I was like, me too, which is why I'm here. And we had a whole good conversation, and she looked in my right eye and she was like, okay. And she looked in my left eye and she was like, like when a doctor makes this exclamation, I'm like, oh crap. So anyway, everything that I said, I felt, everything that I knew in my gut was true. The doctor confirmed. I knew it was blood because it was red and it was in my eye after this crazy headache, and I saw the floaters. I didn't know what retinopathy meant, prior to this, but it all makes sense now. All the pieces are coming together. And the doctor essentially said there was a bursted blood vessel, a blood vessel that burst in my eye while I was asleep. And while I was asleep, you know, the blood began to pool. And that is what I was seeing as that red blob of blood, essentially. And it's essentially like a blood clot. And she said, it's going to take some time for it to dissipate, but I want you to see a retina specialist. And so they did the recommendation or the referral, and I saw a retinopathy specialist the next day, a retina specialist the next day. In between, when I was making the appointments, the doctor was like, yeah, I'm just going to send a message to your doctor. And I was like, oh, okay. After the first appointment with the ophthalmologist, they said that they were concerned that it happened while I was asleep. There was no trauma to my face or anything like that. And so they said, and with the sickle cell, it was cause for concern. So they did the referral to the retina specialist. So I, come home, chill, come back to the retina specialist. And I was told both times that I cannot do anything like physical. I need to chill. I need to sit down. I can't lift anything heavy. They didn't say I couldn't wear my contacts, but I don't want to wear my contacts. And so let me say that this is current date is like 2 weeks out, and I'm still having this floater / blood pool that is slowly dissipating in my left eye. My vision is a little bit clearer, and I can see kind of all around, but there's still like the floater over it. This eye, the right eye, is fine. The retina specialist came in, took what I call half a look, like literally was like, and I was like, okay, da-da-da-da-da. And they just started talking to me. And they're like, here's what you have. And I was like, what does that mean? And I guess I expect more from like my health professionals to explain and spend time. And maybe this doctor was running late. I don't really know. Maybe they booked the appointments in 10-minute increments as opposed to 15. I don't know. But it was very, very quick. And he's like, I can give you some papers on it and you can read up on it. So he gives that, and I'm asking questions, and he goes through the treatment options. And he tells me that the treatment options, he's like, I've seen worse that didn't require surgery, so I think you'll be fine. And so then he comes back and he goes, what I want to do is treat this with laser. I want to do a laser treatment to prevent the weakened blood vessels from rupturing as a preventative caution moving forward. But essentially, in terms of the glob of blood, I had to wait until it disappears. So I was able to make an appointment. So I have to go in for laser therapy or laser treatment for the sickle cell retinopathy on my left eye. I don't know if they're going to do laser on both eyes or not, but that's where we are. And so I was unable to go to my kickboxing class, so I had to reschedule, and here we are. Sickle cell really has not been a huge thing in my life. I've had two crises in my whole life. This is a little scary for me because now it seems like sickle cell is causing this other thing, and I'm a little nervous about it. And there's no cure for this. It's just treatment. And I mean, my hope and prayer is that more blood vessels are not bursting in my eye, because this is something that, if it's bad enough, could cause vision loss. And that's not at all what I want. So there that is. There's some new information for you if you've never heard of sickle cell retinopathy or what it's doing. Essentially, it causes your blood vessels in your eye to be weakened. It also means that because wherever there's blood in the body, there's the ability for sickling, which means those red blood cells that are banana shaped that sickle cell folks have to stick together and cause blockages. And so that's essentially what happened, and the blood vessel ruptured, and it's affecting my retina. Your retina is what allows you to see well and particular, and the acuity of your vision. It's also, responsible for like fine details and things and driving and all of that. And so essentially that's like being detached, or it's thinning, and we need to take care of that. So stick around if you are interested in hearing kind of the next steps in this journey. And I'm a little afraid of the laser, so I am going to get some more information about that and recovery time and what all that looks like, because we don't have a ton of help. And so I need to know whether we need to try to figure something out to get help with my husband, with the girls, or if it's something that we can just power through. But that is yet another thing that is on my heart and on my mind, and another thing for me to deal with. So there's that. And I will leave you with this. After all of this, I received a call that said my doctor had some recommendations for me. So I returned the call, and again, it was not my doctor. It was someone else who's like, I was told to call and give you this information. Your doctor wants you to get some, was it Motrin? Some Motrin or some Advil or something like that for your headache. And then I want you to get some Flonase. I want to get you some Flonase, or I can do a prescription for migraine medicine. That's what my doctor told somebody to call and tell me. I received the message and I said, thank you so much for relaying the message. I sent my doctor an email and I let her know, which I know she's going to see the notes, obviously, but I let her know everything that happened. I let her know the diagnosis, and I let her know that migraine medicine and Flonase is not going to help the situation. I asked if she had any other recommendations that perhaps were not relayed to me based on my loss of vision, my history of sickle cell. And essentially, she said, no, that was all the notes I gave because I saw that you were going to the ophthalmologist anyway. Okay, girl. Okay. So maybe that's just kind of how they roll. I think I deserve a little bit more than that, a little bit more effort and a little bit more concern from my primary care doctor. So all in all, advocate for yourself, ask questions, do what you think is right, trust your gut, ask for a second opinion, and or find a new doctor if they are not listening. You deserve it. I will see you all right back here in my next video, and thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'm on the road to 5K subscribers. I'd love to have you part of the fam. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.